Okay, this is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and our special guest today is Jim Coyle. Jim, good to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you. It's been a little while, and so it's a good time
right.
of the year, the holidays. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and getting ready for the new year. So it's a good time to get together and go over the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. Well, tell us what you're doing now.
I can't say too much right now. I'm working on a new project that's very exciting to me, a new business, and it will involve media. Hopefully, I'll be able to make some announcements in about 2 months.
2 months?
About 2 months, yeah.
Well, we wanted to go over some of the highlights of 2017 now that the year's about over. I've tried to put together a few things. What would you say are some of the more important things that happened in 2017?
Well, definitely one of the more important things is that our country has gone in a new direction under the 45th President of the United States. And I will say that it's been interesting. It's definitely been interesting. Something new and something different. Not all of it has been good. I will admit, there's definitely some things that I wish Trump would do differently. I like the fact that he fights. I wish he would fight a little smarter. But at least we have somebody that's fighting right now as opposed to somebody who is just handing away our culture and our society.
Exactly. I just read that this weekend may be one of the coldest in history in eastern United States.
Yeah.
I think Trump himself tweeted that maybe we need a little more global warming to keep us from all freezing.
That was all part of the tactic, though. That's why they don't call it global warming anymore. It's just climate change. Because as Al Gore told us, however, was that been 10, 15 years now that he was screaming about global warming, and we've realized that the warming had stopped and we are going into a cooling trend. So they had to change the terminology and call it climate change now. Par for the course when things aren't going the way that the liberals want, and they just kind of change the rules, change the words, and keep pushing the agenda.
Unbelievable. Another thing I just saw that they found Anthony Weiner got his laptop turned over to the government, and they had classified emails on it from Hillary.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the big stories we have to acknowledge this year is the collusion with Russia, right? That was the big story. Everyone talked about collusion with Russia and the Trump administration and all of the illegal things they did in collusion with Russia. And they haven't really ever found a smoking gun. But the one thing that I was really amazed that nobody brought up and nobody talked about was if you look back at the Obama administration and you want to talk about collusion in elections, the Obama election team, campaign team, was over in Israel actively campaigning against Benjamin Netanyahu when he was running.
Yeah.
It really wasn't even a secret. I mean, the same people that were helping MoveOn.org and all the pre-Obama hype going into the elections, they were over in Israel working against Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that not collusion on our part against an ally? It was totally blatant, obviously. And it gets pushed away.
Apparently, they were using our tax money to influence the political outcome of the race in Israel.
Right. And it didn't work. It blew up in their face, thankfully. So when you talk about collusion with Russia, nobody really talks much about Bill Clinton receiving $500,000 for speaking in Moscow from the Russians and all the Russian involvement with the Clinton Global Initiative. And you're going to tell me that the Clintons take checks from Russia and they act with the Clinton Global Initiative with Russia.
Yeah.
But there's no collusion there.
And they sold a big chunk of the uranium reserves from the United States.
Yes, Hillary, as Secretary of State, was involved in that process of selling the uranium off to the Russians. And somehow everything that they did got swept under the carpet, and we go hunting through the haystack looking for the needle to say, aha, Trump was in collusion with Russia, and then Russia bought the American election. Russia did not buy the American election.
The other thing about collusion, while we're talking about that, is there is a big story in Politico, which is kind of a left-wing publication, saying that Hezbollah was bringing tons of cocaine into our country. The government found out about it, and wanted to stop it. And Obama said, oh, no, let it go.
Well, when you look at the drug influence in the United States, go back to Fast and Furious. When the Obama administration and Eric Holder were allowing weapons to be shipped to cartels in Mexico, what were those cartels doing? Running drugs and human trafficking as well. And we supposedly set up a sting operation is what they claim, but it all went south, and we know the result. We've got dead U.S. border agents at the hands of our own weapons that were given to the drug cartels. Obama never stood up to outside influences on the United States, whether it be drugs or weapons, and it's a shame. I think now that Trump is in office, he is making a stand. He is trying to set some boundaries for America. For some reason, people think if you are a sovereign, if America is a sovereign nation, then Trump is a racist. But every other nation in the world is a sovereign nation. Yeah. If you are found illegal in Mexico, you can't stay. You're not going to get government benefits. You're not going to get free education and free health care.
Absolutely.
You're going to be jailed or you're going to be tossed out of the country. And that's just one example. Find me a country anywhere else in the world that would put up with the illegal immigration that we deal with in our country. There isn't one. I can't find one.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a rally downtown of people that were complaining about the tax reductions.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, this is terrible. In other words, they were against lowering the taxes.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand how people can be. They said, oh, well, it's just for billionaires. But that's totally false.
No. My taxes are going to be affected in a very positive way, and I'm very grateful for it. Not only do we need overhaul in the tax system, and this was a step. I would like to see it go even further myself. But this is a step, and we can get it in place, see how it works. But I would like to continue to push tax reform because I think our country desperately needs it. But that's just one of the many things. We also need spending reduction. Tax cuts are great, but you got to have some spending reduction by the government as well. And Trump has cut a little bit, but again, I don't think it's enough. I think our spending really needs to be pulled in.
The other good thing that's happened is that ISIS is being driven back. I think a lot of that is because Trump did away with Obama's rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
They said, oh, no, you can't fire at ISIS unless they fire at you first.
Yeah.
And if there's any civilians around, well, you just have to take the fire and don't fire back.
We have the best fighting force in the world. I know it. I know it. There's many people I know that serve and family that I know serve in all forces, whether it's Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard. And if we allow them to do their job, and we take the restraints away from them and allow them to do our job, America will be safe, the world will be a safer place, and ISIS will disappear.
Unbelievable. So I think that's another tremendous benefit that we've enjoyed in this last year is almost totally destroy the ISIS.
Well, they're bullies. And when a bully gets punched in the nose, he usually steps back. And we're finally starting to punch.
Absolutely. So there are a lot of good things that have happened this year. That's one of them that I think is really important. And the other thing is he seems to be rolling back regulations, unnecessary regulations and red tape, which I think is also helping the economy and making more jobs and stimulating the stock market. It could have been a lot worse. We're going to have to take a break. We'll be right back. The number to call if you want to be on the program is 571-0970. Also, we've been trying to give away these Jesus videos. If you want one, all you have to do is call 895-5025. This video is the story of Jesus, and it's also in 24 different languages. And I just found out that it's in 1,300 other languages. It's changing the world, I guess.
Absolutely. Changed the world 2,000 years ago. Coming into the world in a stable. Christmas time is such a wonderful time of the year. It always makes me happy. December is always such a happy time of year, you know. And this year we even got little snow flurries. Didn't get a full-blown white Christmas, but it was nice even just to have the flurries. But amidst all the hustle and bustle and everything, it all comes back to Jesus. My family this year, my boys are getting older now, so it's
How old are your boys now?
My oldest is 18.
18?
Yeah, he's going to U of L School of Music next year. Real excited and proud for him. And then I've got a 16-year-old who is
Really?
who's been doing theater and music as well. I'm proud of all of them. And then my youngest is 13. He's going into high school next year. So they're a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and I'm very proud of them. And so we didn't have the 5 o'clock in the morning jumping up and down on the bed kind of Christmas, which is nice. I'm sure one day I might miss that, but right now enjoyed sleeping in on Christmas morning. Really kind of pared back on all of the extravagance, and it had a much more meaningful Christmas and a much more one-on-one Christmas with the family and with Christ. And that gave me a joy even beyond the joy I'd normally feel at this time of the year. So yes, Jesus is the reason for the season. People do need to remember that. And I felt like I saw that more everywhere I went this year. Maybe it's just comes from your own point of view, I guess. More people just saying Merry Christmas and recognizing Jesus and recognizing the birth of the Savior. And it was very gratifying. Kind of restores your faith that maybe all isn't lost. From just a couple of short years ago where people cross TV and in the shopping malls and everything, oh, don't say Merry Christmas.
No, that's right.
Say Happy Holidays. Don't say, because you might offend this person or that person. There's no offense meant.
Right.
It's just sharing of the joy.
Obama, I think, had a lot to do with that. He was going around saying Merry Christmas to everybody. Okay, we're trying to go over some of the highlights of 2017, and another one is Neil Gorsuch. To get him on the Supreme Court, I think is a big step forward.
If Trump didn't have another success in his presidency, the success of protecting the court is enough, because we were heading down a very slippery slope with the courts.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we're out of the woods on it yet, but when Scalia had passed, it put things in a very precarious position.
Yeah.
And when you talk about our constitutional rights and our freedoms and our democracy and our way of life, the courts are a huge impact on all that. The right to life itself, the right to bear arms. You can go down the list. That all these things, you saw the encroachment on them. If you continue to stack the courts with people who don't look at things from a constitutional point of view or a judicial point of view, but from a political party point of view, you're in trouble. And when you have people like the Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg, who says that she was writing a constitution today, she wouldn't look to the American Constitution for guidance. She would do something different. That's dangerous conversation to be coming from a Supreme Court justice who obviously has lost her grasp on what the Constitution is. So to see the courts being protected is a good thing. And I would say maybe my favorite thing that he has done since he's been in office, President Trump, is get more people in the judicial branch, federal, as well as the Supreme Court, that are actually going to uphold our laws.
Yeah, it seems like we've kind of turned a corner there, that we were going the wrong way, and we're beginning to turn the ship around a little bit.
Yeah, it'll take a while, but there's definitely been some good first steps this year.
Absolutely. Some people are saying this is the biggest tax reform ever, or at least for a long time. Just depends on what dollar you use. If you're this dollar or a long time ago dollar. The unemployment went down, I think, from 9 to 4.5, something like that. The gross domestic product is going up.
We had, over 3% growth. Stock market has been hitting all-time highs. There's confidence in consumerism right now. There's confidence in business right now. And you alluded to the repeal of some regulations on the way to break.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been wanting to see politicians do on a local level and a federal level is peel away some of the garbage that has stacked up over the years.
Absolutely.
Politicians seem to come in and say, oh, look, I got this regulation in. I got that law passed. I did this regulation. And then it stays on the books. People add another regulation on top of that and another law on top of that. And you have stuff that is so outdated and makes it so confusing for businesses, for individuals, and to finally get to the point to clear away some of the garbage, peel back some of the layers of the onion and get rid of it. Much, much, much needed. And I think that's why you're seeing some of the resurgence in business. And like I said earlier, I alluded to the fact that I am working on a new project, a small business. The tax incentives that are available in Louisville right now for small businesses are fantastic.
Really?
The confidence in investors right now in small businesses is growing and continues to grow. And that is the backbone of America, is small business.
Right.
And when those people are taxed out of existence, when Obamacare regulations on these people are dragging them down, then when that stalls, that's when the American economy stalls. And so to be getting some of this stuff out of the way and getting some confidence back in business owners and small business especially is a fantastic thing to see. And I have confidence we'll continue to see that grow over the next few years.
Well, it's almost like the government is against businesses.
It definitely felt like the Obama administration was against businesses when you look at the regulations and things that he put into place. And I just personally want to throw out there real quickly that when Obamacare was put in place, one of the things that I complained about on my show right here in this studio was the nationalization of student loans, because that is somehow wrapped up in Obamacare, and I never understood that. And now I have a son who is going into college looking at these student loans. I'll tell you, I am not comfortable with it, and it is complicated, and you have to go through the government to get it now. And I'm just at the beginning of the process, but I don't like it. It's more complicated. It's going to be more costly for me as a parent.
Another thing that happened this year is that State Representative Dan Johnson committed suicide, apparently. But I understand now that his wife, Rebecca Johnson, is going to run for that seat. Hopefully, she'll be able to pick up where he left off. That's not real good news, but...
No, but I do want to touch on some things when we come back related to that, if you don't mind.
Good. Okay, we better call it there. We'll be right back. Okay, Jim, finish up what you were talking about.
We were talking about, I call the tragedy of Dan Johnson, that he would be pressured and
absolutely
just felt so desperate that the outcome was suicide. That's a horrible place for anybody to be that far gone. I don't know the facts of his case. I don't think any of us really truly know the facts of his case. We know allegations in his case. You look at the allegations, the sexual allegations that have been made against politicians and sports stars and other people, and people are up in arms, as well they should be. I'm not trying to give anybody a pass here. But what I have never understood is why 20 years ago, when we're finding out that Bill Clinton used the Arkansas State Police to bring women to his hotels, Bill Clinton basically seduced interns in the Oval Office. And everyone said, oh, you're just being right-wing. You're out on a witch hunt. What Bill and Hillary do and how they live their sexual life is none of your business.
Yeah, I remember people
none of
saying
your business.
That. Yeah.
And even in this election cycle, when they started talking about Trump and some of the rude comments that he has made, I would say, well, what about Bill Clinton? Well, Bill Clinton's not running for president now. It doesn't matter. Bill Clinton's not running now.
Right.
Well, your morals don't change based on who's running on president. They shouldn't. I mean, some people's obviously do, but they shouldn't. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. And if you're truly against sexual aggression and those types of behaviors, then you should be against them, whether it's Anthony Weiner, whether it's President Clinton, whether it's Elliot Spitzer, whether it's whoever. But somehow it seems like the more left-leaning Democrat, liberal get a pass. Roman Polanski, guy's been in exile from America for years because he knows if he comes here that he could be arrested and tried. The Hollywood scene has given him a break. Kevin Spacey, the Hollywood scene kept their mouth shut for years on these people. And so there's really this double standard out there. Black Lives Matter came to fruition a few years ago, and they talk about social injustice and recovering from slavery in America. Well, the one thing I would challenge those organizations and others is to not look at slavery as 150 years ago, black slavery. I'm not saying don't look at that and don't acknowledge that, but there is slavery in America and around the world today
Right.
in human trafficking and sex trade. And you
Yes.
have, I mean, these young girls, 12, 13 years old, their lives are completely destroyed in human trafficking, sex slave. And friends of the Clintons that we know have been involved in these types of behaviors.
Yeah.
And yet, for some reason, we don't want to call them out. For some reason, they still get protected by the media. They still get protected by the political elite. And I think it's garbage. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You work to eliminate it.
It depends on your political party whether it's wrong or not.
And who's running for office.
Right.
But to get to the point to politically in the social media world and in the news feed to assassinate a character with allegations, tear apart their family and their life and everything that they've done and drive them to the point of suicide, when it happens in schools, when kids are bullied on social media and rumors are spread about their sexuality and their whatever they choose to do in their lives, and they commit suicide, we feel awful, as well we should. That's the same thing that just happened to Dan Johnson. He was bullied on social media. His
Right.
life was torn apart. And what was the end result? He committed suicide. That is, and you see people right away say, well, good, we didn't need people like him. And they immediately start with the hate. And I don't know that anybody knows any of the true facts. We really need to watch that.
Absolutely.
Destroyed way too many lives already.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that his wife will be able to pick up where he left off and try to get our state back to a God-fearing position.
Yeah.
But now, here's another newsletter I got recently from Brent Bozell and the Media Research Center, and he's talking about anti-American organizations like Soros,
Mm-hmm.
Southern Poverty Law Center,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that really I can't get over is all these huge companies that are backing these anti-American businesses.
Yeah.
I find that really amazing. Some of these companies are like Verizon was one that said they're giving money to Southern Poverty Law Center. So it's amazing that this cultural war that we're in
Yeah.
is really engulfing us. Okay, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Here's another important news story. They said there were going to be no nativity scene in Washington, D.C. this year because the Supreme Court has ruled that there are not enough wise men in Washington to have
Can't
it.
find three wise men in Washington.
Can't find three wise men, yeah.
That kind of goes along with the fact that the football team, the Washington Redskins,
Yeah.
are changing their name because it's offensive.
Oh,
They're no
really?
longer going to be called the Washington Redskins because Washington is offensive.
Oh, Washington is offensive. Here's some more of the things that were, of course, Trump put through the Keystone Pipeline
Mm-hmm.
as part of the huge stimulus to the economy. The unemployment we talked about, manufacturers haven't been so confident in 20 years. And of course, they did away with the individual mandates so that the government can no longer fine you if you don't buy what they want you to buy.
Right, which was totally illegal from the beginning. Can't believe that even got to the point that it did. When the government is deciding for you what you need and forcing you to buy it or fining you or even jailing you, because that was terminology that was in the original bill for that, you've lost your freedoms. That's not the way we operate. The government can't mandate that you buy a product, no matter what it is, especially they're mandating that you buy their product.
Right.
So the
Or
government's
else get a
not
fine.
ridiculous.
Yeah, we talked about the collusion, and Obama colluded to shut down the Hezbollah investigation so that they could continue bringing cocaine into our country. Unbelievable. And we talked about, here's a list of the people that contribute to the Southern Poverty Law Center: Amazon, Google, YouTube, PayPal, GuideStar, Norton Software, and Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, big names, big companies. And whatever happened to the monopoly laws in the United States? It seems like they have gone completely out the window. Whether you're talking about Google or even Disney for that matter, that owns ABC and CNN and Star Wars and Marvel and everything under the sun. Where are those monopoly laws today? Look at Google. Google is set to become the first $1 trillion company, and they've got their fingers in everything. For some reason, it's okay now. So
it all depends, I guess, on who's making the decisions about all this stuff. Okay, we talked about largest tax cut in the history of the country, and that's a good thing. Oh, yeah, unbelievable. That rally I went to, they were criticizing the tax cut. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine anybody?
Thing about rallies in the last 5-6 years, especially from the left, talked about the anti-American businesses. They are influencing Google, Twitter, those companies, Verizon that you mentioned. They influence social media. They influence
absolutely
the herd mentality. And so a lot of times I have found, and I try to be respectful when I'm in a situation where I'm trying to discuss my views with somebody who doesn't agree with me. I try very hard to be respectful, listen to their point of view. When Occupy Wall Street was down here in Louisville, 6th and Jefferson, I went down. I had my longer hair then. I think I kind of fit in a little bit. I would ask questions and listen, and there's no direction. There's no, well, our protest is about this, and when this goal is reached, our protest is over. They want to be in a constant state of protest. So anything at all that can give them another excuse to protest, they jump all over and take advantage of. They also do not protest with a focus of knowledge. They go out on what they saw in a tweet or what they read on a meme even. It can get down to memes of pictures with people writing their opinion over top of it. And there's no fact involved, and there's no links to the source or whatever. And so they grab this one picture and they run with it. And it might not even be true. The tax laws. I've talked to, I don't know how many people who were upset, and I'd sit and, well, how much of it did you read? How much of it do you know? Do you know what's changing and why? Well, the rich people are getting a break. That's what I know. And I'm tired of the rich people getting a break. Well, okay, then you should be tired of the Clintons getting a break. You should be tired of the Obamas getting a break. You should be tired of all those elites that have been getting a break. Because that's the way it works in Washington. The politicians are getting the biggest breaks of anybody in our country.
After you think about it a little while, you get the impression that there's some people that are just against America.
You do get that impression.
Against freedom. What's right and wrong, or what's constitutional or not constitutional, or what's fair. That doesn't enter into it. Like you say, these people just want to shut down the country.
They do. And you can't think for a minute that our country and our government has been less than 300 years, that there haven't been mistakes made. There obviously have been mistakes made. When you have a bad politician ascend to the presidency, which we've had, I will say numerous times, not every president has been a great president. I mean, some of them have made some disastrous decisions and horrific decisions, but that doesn't negate what our country is. That doesn't negate our Constitution. It doesn't negate who we should be as a people. But people want to say, oh, you killed Native Americans, our country shouldn't exist anymore. Oh, we had slavery, our country shouldn't exist anymore.
Well, Jim, thank you very much. We got a little overview. God bless you. Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll see you next week.